Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Planet Film Network. Today, we are going to be doing our full spoiler breakdown and discussion of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Alright, so as I said, everybody, welcome back to the Planet Film Network. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
And I'm your host, TJ Cornwall. And as Sean said earlier in the intro, today we're going to be talking about Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which released this past Thursday. So we're going to start with non-spoiler thoughts for just general thoughts, and then we'll get into spoilers after that. So, Sean, what did you think of Black Panther Wakanda Forever?
I feel like overall, this movie was a very mixed bag of a lot of stuff. I really felt to me like this was probably about 25 to 30 minutes too long. I really think that there was a lot of excess in this movie that really took me out of it. And not to say that other movies don't have excess, of course, but I just feel like it really hit me in this one. There was a lot of side plots and subplots going on that I think the question can be asked, was it really needed? Or even stuff in the main plot, do we need to go into stuff as much as we did? But overall, I think there was a lot of great stuff in this movie. I think some fantastic performances. Angela Bassett. I think that, Lupita Nyong'o was fantastic as well. And I really did like Martin Freeman's character again. I love his character in the MCU. What they did with him and his place in the movie, I think we'll talk about more in spoilers. Just because I think maybe, he was a pretty integral character to the first movie, and I think in this one it was more of Martin Freeman was in the first one and he hasn't been in the MCU in a while. We got to put him into the second one. But other than that, I feel like a lot of what I want to get into is going to be in spoiler territory. But for me, I think it was just a very, very mixed bag of some emotional things that didn't always work for me. I think that this movie had a beating heart of emotion, but for me, I think it lacked a soul. I just did not really connect to the emotion. And I guess I'll go, my biggest critique just overall, and this is nothing else to do with anything else, I just think that Wright wasn't strong enough to carry this film. Just for me, I just think that every time she was asked to stand up and really put the whole movie on her shoulders, which is a lot of the movie, I just think that bar wasn't met. And then there was a lot of stuff with her character towards the end of the movie that we'll definitely save for spoilers that I just think kind of what they did with her almost missed for me almost entirely. Almost entirely what they did with her just didn't work for me. But yeah, I guess that's my non-spoiler thoughts. But I have no idea what you thought or what stars or anything. So what did you think of Black Panther Wakanda Forever?
Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
From just the first minute on, I was definitely connected to all the feelings and emotion that was going into this movie. Especially again, obviously towards the ending, which we'll talk about. But I think I thought maybe yes, was it a little bit too long? It felt I definitely felt the length at some points where I was like, okay, I feel like it feels like it's been 3 hours, but it's probably only been like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So at some points they were there. For me, I just, for something I agree with you with Martin Freeman, I echo that whole thing. I could have done without that. That whole storyline. Same with another cameo that I thought was kind of pointless, that I felt like they just kind of showed up just to shoot-horn them in there.
The cameo with Martin Freeman?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought that was pointless to me. But I thought Angela Bassett was awesome. I thought Letitia Wright was awesome. I thought I really, really liked Dominique Thorne. I thought she was really funny.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even mention Ironheart. Yeah, I liked her, too.
I know some people, I think I've seen some people online saying that every time they went back to her, everybody was like, okay, well, I don't really care about this character. Me personally,
Mhm.
I was very interested, and I liked seeing her help Wakanda and build this, build her new suit and
Mhm.
that stuff, which is really cool. Which I don't really know if it's a spoiler because you see it in the trailer, but
Yeah.
anyway, um, someone I really someone I really like really sorry, another person I really liked in this movie was Okoye.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just
100%.
everything she goes through in this movie I really connected with, and she
Mhm.
was probably one of my favorite characters in the entire movie. um and I I think my one thing would be, I just, the Namor and the what are they called exactly? The
Talocan.
Talocan. They didn't
Yeah.
really. I didn't feel like they needed to be villains. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
we could have gone somewhere else with a different. Like, you could still have them in the movie, but maybe have like a different force that is pushing it back against them. Um, and I got why they wanted to invade and that, but I just never connected with them being villains and them being against Wakanda. Um, so that was something that didn't quite work for me, as well as that cameo, um, and Martin Freeman's whole storyline. But other than that, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed myself. Definitely, I almost started crying. I basically started crying at the end.
Mhm.
Um, and I did like how, while Chadwick's passing, or T'Challa's passing, was, a point in this movie, I didn't feel like it was like a crutch to the movie. Whereas, like, we're always leaning on that he passed away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but for me personally, I really had a good time with it. Do I give my score?
Yeah.
Okay, I give it a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 stars for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think going off what you said, I'm glad you brought some of that stuff up because I did forget to mention um I did like Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it, just in my opinion, I was interested in her. I really was. I
Mm-hmm.
just think this movie didn't really give her a lot to do. I think that this movie was just like, oh, this is a good way to introduce her, and I guess
Mm-hmm.
it was. But I just think in the movie overall, she just and I actually towards the begin. Well, I guess that's more spoiler territory. But I did enjoy her, and I did really like Denai Guerrera as Okoye. I think that she
Mm-hmm.
was fantastic in the movie. Some of the things that happened with her, though, I think didn't really fully land for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think that there was a lot of stuff that this movie just felt a little overstuffed and rushed at the same time. But either way, we'll save that for spoilers. We'll get into
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, I would say I give it 2.5 out of 5 stars.
Oh wow.
To
Okay.
me, yeah, I thought it was okay, but I did have a lot of issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the main thing is just I just didn't connect fully with a lot of the emotion and a lot of the things that were going on in this movie. And I think that comes down to a lot of stuff. But let's go ahead and jump into our spoiler section. So if you guys were joining us just for the non-spoiler, thank you. Go ahead and hit subscribe. And then come on back to the channel for a full spoiler discussion.
Warning.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive deep into the spoilers of this movie, into the full spoiler discussion. For me, I guess just because it's at the top of my mind, the thing that I was just about to talk about with Riri Williams, I thought that she was great in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the fact that she had a purpose in the movie, that she built this machine that detected vibranium, all this stuff. But then I feel like after that, she was really just kind of tagging along for the adventure. Really, the only thing that she did, like, once Namor was not going to kill her anymore, they really could have just dropped her back off. But then she kind of just tags along for the entire rest of the movie. Yes, she does have, and again, this is full spoilers, so you have been warned. Yes, she does have, that scene where Angela Bassett kind of sacrifices herself to save her.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I feel like, that's just a thing of, well, the movie just did that because the movie kind of needed Angela Bassett to die. And that was another thing that really kind of didn't sit right with me about them, or not didn't sit right, just didn't work for me, was I thought that Angela Bassett was giving an amazing, like, powerhouse performance, but really at the end of the day, I feel like her really sole purpose in the movie was just to die, was just to be a plot device. Which really sucks because I think that Queen Ramonda is, like, a really powerful, cool character. Especially some of the stuff that she did actually in What If, like that whole Killmonger episode where she's kind of leading the charge against him and the Stark drones. I thought that was like a fantastic episode. So I would have liked to see some of that. And I know obviously Angela Bassett, like, is an older actress, but she can still fight. And I feel like a lot of this movie was just kind of not asking much of her, other than, delivering two pretty powerful monologues and then dying to propel, Shuri onto the next stage of her journey, basically. But yeah, I'll kind of let you take the lead on this, because I don't want to just harp on stuff over and over again, and I feel like that's what I'll end up doing. But so what do you want to kind of go into?
I would like to talk about Val and Ross. Just for a few minutes. For me personally, I didn't really see the point. Well, one, I didn't see. I got that Ross was going to be in it. I understood why he's in it. He's kind of in the last one, like you said. He hasn't been in anything since the first one. Yeah. So let's just put him in here because he was in the last one, and people know him as a character from Black Panther. Yeah. Val thought there was absolute. I get the. She's kind of the. She's the United States, and we see it in the beginning at the conference with all the different countries, and France has tried to invade one of the outreach centers to get the vibranium. The U.S. and again, Shuri calls Ross multiple times her favorite colonizer, which I think is a very funny jab. And I get she's supposed to embody all these things, Val is, but I don't think you need Val to do that. I think you can put anybody else in that, and you don't need Val. Yeah. When she popped up, I was kind of like, I don't. And then they made this thing that they were married, which I don't think was necessary at all. I don't know why they have to be married. They don't do enough with the relationship in this movie for it to matter. I think it's played more as a gag, I guess. Which I didn't really find all that funny. And then. Again, like, I've just felt like she was kind of shoehorned in, and for me, it was every time we went back to them, I was like, I don't really care. Like, it would go back to everybody else doing stuff in Wakanda. Now this was one of two cameos, which I didn't expect the second one. Honestly, I know a lot of people were like, how'd you not expect it? Shouldn't he have just been in it? But Michael B. Jordan, I was pleasantly surprised to see in this movie. I thought it was really cool that he showed up for her astral plane kind of vision thing. And to see, like, when she's taking on the mantle of the Black Panther, to see the difference. Obviously, T'Challa saw his father, but she sees Killmonger. And to see that they have kind of, similar, ways of thinking almost. She obviously, this is after her mother died, so she wants vengeance, and that's exactly what Killmonger wanted in the first one. Obviously, he also wanted to take over and all that other stuff, but I thought it was really interesting him showing up and them having that back and forth. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think to go off of just to get the cameos out of the way, I think for me, the whole Val and Ross thing, I think. I enjoyed their kind of back and forth together. I just think that whatever they were doing was not a part of this movie. Like, it was just like, like, if you want to say, hey, you're getting a Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Martin Freeman Disney Plus show about kind of the almost not necessarily a SHIELD show, but maybe just a straight up like CIA show with the two of them. You know what I mean? Something like that. I'd be down. I thought that their chemistry was cool. I agree with you. I don't think that they really had a chance to go into any of the chemistry. I feel like a lot of their scenes were just like, and then this happens, and then this happens. I think this whole movie was a lot of, and then, You know, it was for me at least. A lot of it unfolded with like, and then this is gonna happen, and then this will happen, so then this happens. Like that felt a lot of that to me. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the whole Val thing. But then Michael B. Jordan, absolutely, I thought that was a fantastic cameo. I thought that was great. The whole thing of, you know, kind of coming back saying, you know, I was right about now the other countries are trying to take vibranium.
Right, yeah.
They are trying to, you know, encroach on Wakanda's, you know, power. For me, though, I think it really... Well, I guess just doubling down on the cameo itself, I thought it was great to have Michael B. Jordan in there. I thought that was fantastic. I think it did work and everything like that. But then coming out of the astral plane, really after that, everything that the movie is doing with Shuri is just gone for me. Once the whole vengeance, the entire third act vengeance plot with Shuri, I thought was one of the biggest misses that Marvel has ever taken. I just thought that I really, and this is just my opinion, I really just think that she was not a strong enough performer to pull off some of the complexity that I think that they were trying to give Shuri. And it's all kind of, I thought that the stronger way, and this, you know, I can't say, you know, this is what I would have wanted them to do. You know, they make the movie. But to me, I thought that the stronger thing to do would be to go out on a note of power of saying, vengeance did consume her. Let her die. You know, let Namor kill her or something, or let something like that happen. But I mean, you know, like, let something like that happen, something definitive where she has to, she has to pay for the results of her vengeful actions. I think that that's the first Black Panther movie would agree with me, because I think that that movie is very much saying, and also Civil War, that great line that Shuri echoes in this movie of, you know, about Zemo and the Avengers, you know, T'Challa says, vengeance has consumed them, it's consuming me, you know, I won't let it go any further, you know, and that's why he doesn't kill Zemo, or doesn't let Zemo kill himself. And then she echoes those same words that she says, vengeance has consumed us, her and Namor, we can't let it consume our people. But to me, honestly, if I'm being honest, it's just how it hit me. It came off like the MCU's Martha moment. I was like, these two, and I think it goes to what you were saying, which we could talk about in a minute of, I feel like, yes, I understood why Wakanda and Talocan would have this beef, you know, but again, making him a full-fledged villain of, I want to destroy the surface world, I think it was just too far, because then when the switch is supposed to happen and she's just like, oh, vengeance is bad, we're good, and then the movie's just like, yeah, we're good, no, we're good. I mean, for me, that just really didn't work. Sorry, but what did you?
For me personally, like that moment. Just by the way, real quick, did you like that callback of the Wakanda Forever, and then the ship like blasts the thing in Namor from the first one?
Thought it was okay.
Oh, I liked it.
I thought
maybe it was because I watched the first one.
Wait, what was the exact callback?
Like, because when Ross is flying the plane in the first one, he's like, "How do I make this go faster?" Oh, you gotta cross your arms and say Wakanda Forever, and it goes faster.
Oh, you know what? That is a good callback. That is good.
Yeah.
I still didn't like that torch thing though, but
fair enough. By the way, I was gonna say it took him a while to like not be as powerful. I was under the impression that he was gonna be like, because they were like, oh, if you get him in, you know, this area,
they threw him in an easy bake oven.
Basically, yeah. But no, for me personally, I thought that like something I don't even know if I said in the non-spoiler. The fight scenes I thought I enjoyed all of them. I know I've also heard some of them thought they were boring, which is fine. But for me personally, that when, you know, she's, I guess, kind of thinking about killing, but then she has all those flashbacks of, it shows that, you know, these two countries or nations are just, they're very similar. They're not so different. They don't need to be fighting each other. And they can work together. And that for me worked. That worked to me, that she kind of has this like epiphany in that moment. So, that's just me though. I know maybe for a lot of, because I feel like this movie is a lot. I feel like a lot of people maybe are saying that it's not as good as the first one, and that might be one of the reasons. Not for just for you, but for me, that moment.
Yeah, I think that specific thing of realizing, the differences really, the whole Dr. Evil of, we're not so different, you and I, like that, that to me worked. I liked the whole, her kind of realizing that, and her, appreciating the history of Talocan, and that, she's so set in her ways of Wakanda has this great rich history, but then, it's not the only country with this great rich history. There's other things out there, there's other people out there that you need to take into consideration, especially when you're somebody like Shuri, who's now faced with leading a nation. I just think that it all happened too quick. It was just they went so hard into the vengeance thing with her that Nakia was like, are you okay? Like, there was like that was stuff that was interesting, that like explore that. But then to just kind of throw it all out the window at the last second, I really like it. Just didn't work for me. But that being said, I think let's talk a little bit more about Talocan and kind of Namor and all that stuff, because, and I'll say this too, I don't know, I'm seeing everybody out there being like, the scene where she's in that suit and they're going down to Talocan and she's just kind of like, I was just not invested in that scene at all. Like, everybody's like, oh, it's the most beautiful scene in the MCU.
Oh, I thought it looked really good.
I was like, kind of looked goofy. Kind of looked a little goofy to me. I was like, she was just like in this like slipstream going.
Yeah.
It just looked like, her face was in like a green screen, just experiencing all this stuff. And also, I don't particularly think that the underwater stuff looked that incredible in terms of that scene. I think that then later when the sun, when like the sun came out and he was like, I brought the people, the sun, whatever. I thought that was great. I thought that whole scene was fantastic. But the actual like going down there and kind of flying through the city, and like all the like kids are like, they have like this ball of something, and they're, I was just like, what's going on? I was like, I felt like we were supposed to understand things in that scene that were not explained.
To me, it was just showing again to us that these two countries or two nations, they're not different. They're both built on
100%.
Vibranium in a way. They all rely on it. Obviously, one is stuck underwater and the other one is on land. But yeah, to me, that's what that was trying to tell the audience, personally, and I feel like that's what it was trying to tell Shuri as well. But at the same time, so I guess you could see maybe, because Shuri definitely throughout that, she is taken, but he's very hospitable to her. She's not like some prisoner, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. But I guess you could say, like, while they're not aligned in their views, she kind of, but like at the same time, you could say like you have to, I get like the whole vengeance thing, but at the same time, it's like I understand where she's coming from. Like, you have to understand it, right? She's lost.
No, yeah, I understand it. I understand it completely. I'm just saying, I think that the payoff of that was very weak to me. I just thought that, and I agree with you 100%. I understand that completely. That everything that led her to being that vengeful and that hateful towards Namor and everything like that. I just think you can't just like flip it on a dime like that. I just didn't buy that. I thought that the movie set the two of them up to be so diametrically opposed. And again, I get the whole thing that the revelation is, well, we're not so different. But to me, I feel like that was not enough to make me personally buy into the fact that then she would just be like, all right, let's go call off the troops and go home. You know what I mean? Like, it just all happened too quick and too easy for me. Because, and I think I agree with you. I think there was no need to make them that opposed. I think that they could have just had a misunderstanding, but I feel like as soon as he killed her mom, I was like, where's this movie going? Namor just killed the Queen of Wakanda. Like, is she gonna kill Namor? I was like, how is he going to come back from this, and they're ever gonna work together? He literally killed her mom. Like, I don't care what kind of, we have to put our differences aside. He straight up killed her for no reason.
I think that goes back to the issue that probably my biggest issue with the movie is just Namor as a villain.
I agree.
Just don't really buy into it that much, and I think we could have done something different where he doesn't really have to be a villain. Maybe they have differences at the beginning, but maybe they unite. It's a common thing, and we see that, because by the end of the movie, it's like, I think Shuri says like, oh, if you're ever under attack, like you have an ally, Wakanda, that. So yeah, for me, I think for me that supports my one thing biggest thing with the movie is just them as villains. It just does not feel right for some reason.
I agree.
What did you think of? This is just like really small, but did you feel that the night scenes were too dark? I saw this as a thing on Twitter as well that a lot of people were saying like they couldn't see.
Like in Boston, with
no, I'll say like when they're at the kind of lake, Shuri and Ramonda.
Oh, yeah, I could get I could see that.
Okay,
I could see that for sure.
I was like, I think I could see it fine, but maybe other people can't see it that well. It's one of those Game of Thrones things where it's like, oh well, you just need an HDR TV. Well, it's like, well, at that time, I don't think a lot of people. Well, maybe they did, but had those types of TVs. But what else? What else have we not talked about? What about M'Baku? What'd you think of him?
I thought Winston Duke was fantastic in this movie. I feel like they really didn't give him much to do. I thought that the most interesting thing that was about to happen was, I was like, oh my God, is he actually going to die? And then, of course, he didn't. That
like punch thing, I was like, oh, like, he ain't messing around.
That was cool, but I did not like. I feel like the weird like reverse slow-mo that this movie was doing sometimes was just like, it was a lot of that, and I was just like, okay, like it kind of wore out on me pretty fast. But and again, I'm hoping maybe if I see this movie again, maybe I'll feel better about it, stuff like that too.
Was he funnier in this movie? Like, was he played as much as like was he joking as much in the first one? I feel like not, right? I feel like he was playing a lot of jokes in this one.
Yeah, he was definitely more jokey. Like, he definitely had jokes in the first one, but he also like wanted to challenge T'Challa to the right to the throne. Like, he was he was a menace in the first one. He was like a funny menace in the first movie. This one, he was just like a funny, like, likable dude. Yeah. But again, I think Winston Duke was absolutely fantastic in every single scene. I think he was an amazing standout of the movie, of something I really liked. I just thought that the movie could have given M'Baku a little bit more to do. And I think that goes to what I am seeing a good amount of people say with, like, the boringness kind of the fight. I really just thought that the whole fight in the third act on that boat thing was just very, like, they were just basically running circles to, like, tread time, basically, to have a third act. Like, and then, they're fighting pretty equal, but then right at the last second, all the Wakandans are, like, they're being, like, shoved off to the side. Like, they're all, like, cowering in fear. And there was one shot where, like, they're all, like, getting pushed back, like, the Wakandans and stuff. And Ironheart's there, and I'm like, blast them. She's literally just standing there like this, like, and I'm like, use your weapons. What are you doing? Like, same with M'Baku. Like, I get that there's a lot of people there, but like, you're warriors. Like, go for it. I just thought that it was very weird, and I think again that goes to the point of making Talocan the villains here is like you can't just like slaughter them like they're the Chitauri, like they're the Chitauri, because they're people. They're people that we're supposed to be invested in this movie and then later on in the MCU. Like, so you can't just, have them be all out killing each other all the time. Another thing that I feel like worked for me but was a little rushed was Okoye's what do you call? I guess dishonorable discharge. I thought that scene was fantastic. I thought that was maybe pound for pound, maybe the best scene of the entire movie. Just Angela Bassett and Denai Guerrera just like acting the crap out of each other, just like absolutely giving it their all in that scene. I thought I would say probably for me easily the best scene of the movie, or the most emotional scene in the movie for me. Well, maybe. The end montage was good too, but I mean, in terms of the actual like storylines, I thought it was great. But then I thought, again, it was just kind of like, what was the point? Because it was just then undone as soon as the queen dies. Shuri's like, well, I need you in the fight, and it's like, okay, well, what's the?
Yeah,
I made you a new
like
spear.
She was like the leader. Before.
No, and I get that. It sets up Okoye to be now this Midnight Angel kind of thing. If we're still getting that whole Okoye Wakanda Disney Plus thing that they're talking about, I think that
I think that.
Yeah, I remember there was like a rumor like years ago that they were doing a Wakanda series, and now now that's kind of morphed into. I think the latest update we got was that they're doing an Okoye special presentation, which like if that's the case, sign me up. If it's just like an hour and a half or an hour of Okoye and Martin Freeman getting up to hijinks and stuff, then sign me up, because I think that that's fantastic. But
I think my just to jump off that point, the Midnight Angels, if that's supposed to be their uniform, I think they need to change it. It looks.
I really didn't like it when they. I really didn't like it when they took the head off. It looked really weird. Yeah.
I think it looks too Power Ranger for me. I believe there is even a Power Ranger series with that almost exact same helmet layout, where I was like, that just looks not good to me.
Yeah.
Something I did think was good, just on the CGI side of things, I thought that Riri Williams in the suit with her helmet off, I thought it looked pretty good. I didn't think it looked Mark
like when the faceplate opened? Yeah,
Mark
no,
Ruffalo
I agree.
In the big Iron Man suit.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys are screwed.
Somebody we really haven't talked about, and maybe this is the last thing we touch on. I think I had one other thing, but I can't remember. Is Nakia. We haven't talked about Lupita Nyong'o that much.
Yeah, I thought
awesome in this movie.
she was. I thought she was probably. Let me look at all the characters real quick. I think maybe a tie between her and Okoye, but I think probably she was my favorite character of the movie. I thought that Lupita was just fantastic, and I think a lot of that was. I think too probably a lot of. I'll be honest with myself. Maybe some of the issues I had with this was just I just thought. I just wish that Lupita was kind of the face of this franchise and not Letitia Wright. And not, I'm being totally honest with you guys, not for any of the off-screen stuff. I just think that, for me, I just don't connect with the character of Shuri that much. I just don't. And I don't know whether that's a thing of Letitia Wright's acting or just the way that she's written or whatever. But as soon as Nakia was on screen, and you see that she started this new life, then the reveal in the post-credit scene, fantastic. But that she started this new life, that she's there for a reason, for a very good reason, we find out. And the kind of anguish that it puts to her of, she was so in love with T'Challa that, like, she had to go and start this new life. I just thought that just as a launching point, that was just so much more interesting to me. I was so much more on board to explore everything that Nakia had going on in this movie than a lot of the other characters. I thought that she was absolutely incredible. I thought that her suit looked fantastic. I thought that like she just had a really good look. And I really hope that we see more of her, because really I think that she was a very big bright spot of this movie. But I guess, we could talk about anything else if I've forgotten. But one thing I want to talk about before we close out the review here, the actual man himself of Tenoch Huerta, Namor. What did you think? How did you feel about not just his role in the movie, but basically this new entry into the MCU, this new hero or anti-hero that we now have on the table? How did you feel about him? How did you feel that he came across in the movie?
I thought he came across very well. I thought he had a great performance. I liked that we were able to. I felt like we were able to switch between that kind of. He's almost like lovingly like
Sinister.
I don't. Yeah, like I don't
Yeah.
want. I don't want to.
Yeah.
If we team up, we don't have this problem. If you just support, blah blah blah. He's like, but if you don't, I'm gonna come get you.
Yeah.
Which I thought
Ooh,
was
I'm gonna
really
get you.
really nice. And even at the end, we see kind of. It seems like his kind of the one woman, Namora. I think that was her
Yeah.
at the end, where she's like questioning him.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. I feel like did we have like maybe a internal uprising against Namor possibly in the future?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Which I thought was cool. But no, yeah, I thought he was good. I'm excited to see more of him. I thought what did you think about the wings on the ankles? I know that was a big thing going into this
I think they worked. I think they definitely looked goofy. I think they really went for it, but I think that's what the guy looks like. I mean, it's hard to translate. I mean, I think that if maybe this movie comes out, or maybe if they introduced Namor 10 years ago, he probably has tattoos of feathers on his ankle. I think that's probably what it would have been. But the fact that they just went for it, Shuri rips them off at one point, which is like, did they grow back? I was like, did they grow back?
Yeah.
Is he, like, I don't know what Namor's healing factor is. I'm not super familiar with it. So, like, when she, like, scratches him and stuff, I was like, is he going to be okay? Is he going to be whatever? But then again, also, when she does the engine thing and, like, fries him, the next scene that we see him in, he looks okay. So I'm going to assume he's probably fine. It probably grew back. But, yeah, I really liked it. And I thought that Tenoch did a great job portraying the character. I'm super excited to see more of him. Yeah, I really, really liked him. Yeah.
Last thing I want to talk about is the post-credit scene.
Absolutely.
How did you like that? I loved it. I thought personally that is the best way that they can recast T'Challa without recasting him. If that
I agree
is
100%.
fair. And I know there's that big thing like on Twitter. It's like, recast T'Challa, don't recast T'Challa. A lot of people have their different opinions, and I think Kevin Feige has said that they're not going to do that. I believe he said that probably a while ago.
Yeah.
But I thought, that had me very emotional. I thought that was a great scene.
Yeah, I thought that was absolutely fantastic. And I liked kind of the 1-2 punch of, like, you're kind of living in this moment of you get this reveal that, okay, this is T'Challa's son, who's, lives in Haiti. He speaks French. His name is Toussaint and everything like that. And I was like, oh, like, it went from, like, oh, that's very sweet. Like, that's great that, like, his legacy will go on and everything. Yeah. And then the switch where you're like, oh, does this kid even know who his father is? All this, all that. And then the switch of when he's like, well, my Wakanda name is T'Challa. He was like, I'm Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa. Like, basically saying, like, I will be the next king of Wakanda. Like, I was like, all right. Like, damn. I thought that hit because you kind of are living in, like, oh, man, he has a son that he's never going to get to see grow up and stuff. But then the fact that the son is like, no, I'm going to honor my father, and one day I will take the throne of Wakanda for myself. Not take it, but I will grow into it. The only thing for me, I would have gone a little bit older just because I feel like it's going to be a long time before that kid is ready to, like, do anything, really. But, I mean, that's a very minor thing that, who knows when they're going to pick that up, when they're going to do anything with that. But the post-credit absolutely, I think, worked for me 100%. I thought that was very, very touching. But yeah, is there anything else that I feel like we've kind of hit everything?
I think we hit everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for Ironheart.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for
like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for Ironheart, and I like that they took away the Wakandan suit so that she's gonna have to, build herself back up type thing. I thought that was great. But yeah, let us know. Do you side more with me? I have a feeling I'm going to be in the very vast minority on this, but Do you think that this movie, was not as good as the first one, had some issues and everything, or did you really like this movie? Let us know that and more down below in the comments. Also, go ahead and follow us at the official PFN over on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. That'll do it for me. I have been one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
I've been your other host, TJ Cornwell. Thank you for watching. Like Sean said, let us know in the comments below, what did you think of this movie? And is it better than the first one? Follow us on all our social media channels. Check out our reviews, our other reviews on the channel, and we will see you next time.